Welcome to High Drama. Were the plays important? They certainly were, starting with my all-time favorite musical of all times, A Man of No Importance, with the book by Terrence McNally, music by Stephen Flaherty, and lyrics by Lynn Ahrens. 60s Dublin bus conductor Alfie Byrne has a penchant for Wilde and his poetry as well as his lifestyle, puts together a church community theater group that gets them all excited doing problematic Salome. The butcher wants to marry his sister, but she won't marry him until Alfie is married. People pine for people with obstacles, but in the end, while love might not triumph, theater does. Whole cast is terrific in capturing Catholic Dublin. And this is some of Terrence McNally, Stephen Flaherty, and Lynn Ahrens' best work. And this is a show about all sorts of love for people, for church or theater, and the effect it has on you, good or bad. A Man of No Importance is a show of great importance. Major Happy Face Plus. They are all brilliant, even though they cut one of my favorite numbers with the tap dancing and using zippers for the scarf scene. I love that number, but oh, lovely show.
A tomato can't grow in the Bronx. This domestic drama, written by Gary Morgenstein, directed by Bernice Garfield-Sita, is set in the Bronx in 1968. It features a multi-generational family whose dysfunctional emotional and financial dynamics have come to a crossroads. Sammy Abrams, Eleanor Abrams, and their 15-year-old son, Elliot, live in an apartment next door to Eleanor's parents, Harry and Gladys Sims. For years, Harry Sims, the grandfather in the story, has helped to support his daughter, son-in-law, and grandson by employing Sammy and by helping give cash to the family upon his daughter's request. So because they live literally next door to each other in the Bronx, they've all grown up together with the typical suffocating dynamics one might expect of an adult daughter who can't quite leave the nest and a father who can't truly let her go. The play is very, very well acted. All the actors in it are just very, very seasoned and beautifully cast. At this point in the story, 1968, Sammy, who is the son-in-law, has his heart set on moving out of the Bronx to Long Island, to Huntington, Long Island, so his family can have some freedom and possibly start an independent life away from his in-laws. So that's really the crux of the story. Unfortunately, he doesn't make a good enough living to be able to support this dream. And so his wife, Eleanor, has to go to her father yet again for money. So that's really the big conflict in this story. And so the whole show revolves around the concept of parents holding on and children trying to let go. I absolutely loved the show. I thought the acting was amazing. The script is very assured. The directing is terrific. And it really, at first I didn't like the family very much because they were very sarcastic to each other. But then as I learned the characters and what each of them was struggling with, I really fell in love with both families, even with the people with all their flaws. So I would highly recommend this show. Happy Face Plus.
John Kelly's Underneath the Skin at La Mama concerns the life and work of Samuel Stewart, who was a major figure in experiencing and chronicling gay life of the 20th century. He cataloged every single sexual experience he had, and he had many, including with Rudolph Valentino and Thornton Wilder, among others. He also became quite friendly with Gertrude Stein. He was a person who had many different lives. He was an academic, and then under the name of Phil Sparrow, became one of the country's leading tattoo artists, and then later under the name of Phil Andros, a leading gay pornographer. So, and Kelly is accompanied by three men, Huckleberry, Estado Flotante, and John William Watkins, who form like a chorus of dancers who are sometimes soldiers, sometimes his cocktail and orgy partners, and sometimes the nightmare figures of his alcoholic deaths. It's a really interesting performance art. It's really interesting about history. I would give it a half.
At the Irish Rep, they are doing Jack Was Kind, that is written and performed by Tracy Thorn. And she's sitting there. She's like this lovely, like middle class, maybe upper middle class white woman talking about, why did I just sit there? I ask myself this question all the time. And the whole premise is, why did I just sit there? And her daughter, who also is mad at her for just sitting there. And through the whole play, you're wondering, what is it that she was sitting through that was so awful that has everyone so upset with her? And it's a kind of a out of left field what you find out about it, just to give you anyway. But she talks about her husband, who's a lawyer, and he's and his name is Jack, and he's got this face that has this wonderful special listening face that makes you feel very special, and he's always so kind. And when she was 30, he gave her 30 presents. But then it starts to crumble, and you see there's he's maybe not so kind. And for some reason, I got in my head that the title was Jack Was Wild, and I wondered, why is this called Jack Was Wild? But that was just me. So I mean, I was distracted by my own wrong thought. But I thought Tracy Thorn as a performer was really riveting. I was like interested. Why does her daughter hate her? Why does everyone hate her? Why does she hate herself? What happened to this poor woman? And then when you find out, you're like, really? I didn't see that one at all.
Yeah, but you see, the thing is this, when she says, I sat there, why do I sit there, why sit there? So the metaphor is like, why did she stay in that marriage, okay? When she's recording her story and everything. But the thing is this, like, I know, how can somebody be so bad? It's a very feminist take against like men, and then her husband is horrible, father is also horrible, and the son, the brother is horrible, and the poor thing, she's suffering all the time. But then it takes a turn, but my difficulty with her acting was that woman cried so much throughout, the play, tears falling. And to me, as an actress or as a critic, I just feel that one should try not to cry, and that is a better dramatic effects than this thing. I am sorry, I did not really like the play. From my side, it's unhappy face.
About that, see, I was admiring her restraint, because I thought it was incredible acting, because she kept talking like she was like so poised and everything. And while she's talking all poised, the tears are coming. It's not like she's like, no, she was like, and she's pushing the tears away.
Yeah, but that's what I think. I mean, it's like, remember Vanessa Redgrave did the Rear of Magical Thinking for 2 hours long, sitting on a chair. And she had a very, very difficult play, which the husband died and the daughter is sick in the hospital, and all that. And she never, it was very dramatic. It's just like you really feel the inside of the person.
Oh,
it's a bit of the superficial
no, and I felt
I know I cry a lot, but I don't.
Anyway, we got it. I'm gonna give it a mixed face plus, because I really liked it until they kind of surprised us at the end with all this, like, I don't know, it just surprised me too much at the end. But it might be a good surprise for other people. But for me, I'm giving it a mixed face plus. Matt Fraser's pantomime, Dick Rivington and the Cat, is back at the Abrams from last year. It's a delightfully daffy pantomime on Dick Whittington and his cat, but instead of London, we are right in the heart of the Lower East Side and the East Village. King Rat and his henchmen Ratchet and Scratchet want to take over and rule all the rats in Tompkins Square Park and the whole city. The only thing standing in their way is that pesky Tommy the Cat and Dick Rivington. King Rat makes his sidekicks frame them, which leads them on a seafaring adventure with Captain Compass. Will Dick and Tommy defeat the dastardly King Rat to become mayor of New York City? Will Mitch fulfill his dreams of becoming a comic? Will Sarah and Warren, Dick and Leanna end up together? Guess you'll have to come down to the Abrams Art Center and see and wonder who these characters are I'm talking about that I never mentioned before. I never stopped grinning except when I was screaming boo and yes we did and Alien and singing along to 80s pop music and show tunes. There are enough sly nuggets to satisfy the whole family. Julia Atlas-Mons is a masterful director, and Stephen Hamill outdid himself with the set, and the costumes are beyond anything. So everyone, this gets a major happy face. David Cale's Sandra is about never giving up on your friend. Sandra is concerned when her friend never comes back from Mexico. Everyone is convinced he is dead, but not her. She goes on a quest to find him, leaving her restaurant and her crumbling marriage behind. Instead, she finds love, adventure, and a strength she never knew she had in this mystery with many twists and turns and dead bodies. Marjan Neshat keeps us enthralled with the stories with very little movement on her part on a minimalist set. The lighting by Tom Weaver was the best I have ever seen, as I found myself at times admiring the intricacies of lighting and how it changes the mood as well as the set in a most artistic way. Because of the breathlessness of the play and Marjan Neshat's impressive acting, I forgave some of the plot flaws and illogical transitions, and this one-person show gets a happy face.
This play called Sandra, one-woman show. The acting is okay. She is very good friend of a person who is missing in Mexico. She goes to Mexico to look for him. Okay. Then for me, the play does not deal with the missing friend, which is the most important. He is the main character of the play as far as I'm concerned, and Sandra is an extra. Okay. But the play becomes about the extra. Okay. And then there are two other people who are dead and somebody's involved, but we never find out what happened to Ethan. I cannot believe that I fell in love with this gay guy, Ethan, and I'm worried about Ethan, and I'm worried about for an hour and a half, and I do not know what happened. And at the end, when it is revealed,
But the
I'm
play
not
is
convinced.
not called Ethan. The play is called Sandra, and
But
she does.
his
and
name is Ethan.
no,
his
no, no.
name is
The
Ethan.
play, but the play is
I
called
said
Sandra.
Sandra.
It's about
Doesn't
her,
matter.
not about Ethan.
Doesn't matter.
Ethan's just like Ethan's just
Right.
the plot
Just-
point. So she goes
Listen,
looking for him.
I
It's
had a
mystery.
problem with the Ed because he invited me when we came out, and he loved. And I've noticed when someone else has a strong opinion about things, people get angry and they want you to comply with their opinions. And I'm not that kind of a person. If I have an opinion and if I felt that way, this is where I am going to describe it. Okay.
And you
He's
should.
not-
That's
The
no,
play
that's
is
good.
called Sandra, but the play, if you introduce Meryl Streep and then you introduce Bina Sharif as an extra, and then play become about Bina Sharif, and the main character is just disappeared. You need to not introduce a very important character when you do not want to deal with that character for the whole play. This is my problem. Okay.
But
I was worried about Ethan.
Oh, see, and I was more interested in Sandra. So, but that's you know, that's the thing is we get our, that's the thing.
Sandra's
I
problems were
Bina.
not so important.
Bina, it makes perfect sense. You're excited, you get something stuck in your head and you're distracted by it. Like me
Don't say
thinking that
that,
the title
stuck in
was
my
Jack
head.
was wild instead of
Don't say
Jack was
that,
kind.
stuck on my head. Sandra, sex life and her separation from her husband is less important than a missing person who might have died, and we need to find out what happened to this person. We want him to be alive. We want to figure it out.
Bina gives Sandra an unhappy face, but I give it a happy face.
It wouldn't be the holiday season without the lights, music, and classic shows like The Rockettes, The Nutcracker, and A Christmas Carol. Now, through the end of the year at the Nederlander Theater, Charles Dickens' classic story of Christmas ghosts, past, present, and future, is brought to life by Jefferson Mays. Fresh off of his starring role as Mayor Shin in The Music Man, Mays portrays over 50 roles in A Christmas Carol. An immersive experience is created for theatergoers from the start, where signs to turn off phones read, "Respect the dead, silence your phones." The play starts where the theater lights dramatically go out before revealing Scrooge sitting by candlelight at his desk.
And
I
don't
felt
forget the
my heart-
loud noise.
Of course, I felt my heart sink from this. I felt myself thinking, I hope this is planned. And then not to mention the many children who were taken by families who let out cries from this dramatic start to the show. I found the set to be particularly impressive with its ability to portray an endless sense of space. I enjoyed the portrayal of windows filled with monitors of characters, highlighting what life would be had somebody not existed, moving staircases, and plenty of Christmas decorations. While Jefferson Mays was an impressive actor, I found it difficult to follow the story through its multiple character and storylines, and all, of course, through one actor and his British accent. I give the show a mixed face for the holiday spirit and acting creates an uplifting and exciting show, but otherwise quite a dull and confusing storyline.
Oh, I'm disagreeing with everybody on the show today. I really loved it. I thought Jefferson Mays was fantastic. I mean, I had no, well, plus, I mean, we know this. Anyway, how can it be confusing? We know this story backwards and forwards. We've seen 5,000 versions of this. And I
Because
just thought,
it's one person. So the ability to like switch between, and understand where those transitions and shifts are happening felt a little confusing for me. And that's obviously the nature of a one-person show. But given, the tonality and the accents and everything, I felt like I didn't find that shift happen for me.
oh, see, for me, it did. I mean, plus also Jefferson Mays is just a master at these one-person shows. I mean, that's how he got on the map in the first place with I Am My Own Wife. So no, I had no trouble. In fact, he was so good at it that I actually forgot it was Jefferson Mays and my brain conjured up the characters he was talking about. So, we disagree on this one, but it doesn't matter because it's all valid. But oh my God, I thought it was so good. But really, truly, do not bring children to this because it really is scary. There was this one kid crying through the whole thing. It's kind of terrifying for little kids. So I'd say maybe 9 and up or 10 and up. But it's a fun show, and you can't go through Christmas without a Christmas Carol. And Jefferson Mays is the guy to do it for you, as far as I'm concerned. So I'm giving it a happy face. Brenda Withers off-peak wonders if it is ever too late to make amends and get over an important part of your life. Savitt is traveling on Metro North when Martin, an unexpected blast from her past, comes disrupting her trip. They exchange reminiscences, recriminations, and possible redemptions. Will they resolve their past issues and be able to move on, or be stuck on the track like the train that they are on? Kurt Rhodes and Nance Williamson play off each other so well that one really feels the tension and embers of love that connected these two long ago, but then the reality of present day reveals that hurts and disillusionments can't help but creep in. Sasha Schwartz has done a remarkable job of recreating a train car down to the scuffed floors and peeling seats. Off-peak really piqued my interest in these two with what happened in their past and what will happen to their future. Happy face. Will Arbery's Evanston Salt Cost Climbing is an odd and rather depressing play put on by the new group. Peter and Basil are co-workers that enjoy each other's company but just don't enjoy their own. Peter is constantly talking about wanting to kill himself. Basil tries to cheer him up and has his own dark secrets. May Worm, their boss, is obsessed with her job and enjoys its statistics. Her daughter, Jane Jr., has troubles functioning and constantly needs her mother's reassurances. Basically, they are miserable and make me feel miserable too. There are bizarre moments in the play that take you out of time sequentially, and historic figures randomly appear while others disappear. Beware the lady in the purple hat. This made no sense to me, but since I like the actors so much, I kept hoping that I would like this better, but I didn't. So I give it a mixed face minus. I really love Quentin Tyler Bernstein, Jeb Krager, Ken Lewing, and Rachel Sacknoff. Jordan E. Cooper's Ain't No Mo uses satiric surrealism to deal with the rampant racism still going on today. It starts out hopeful with Obama as president. Preacher thinks that there will be no more need to complain as there will be no more attacks against the African American community. The president will have their backs, but soon the future of being shot in the back encroaches. There isn't much time. The entire African American population have to act fast if they want to board the last flight out of America back to Africa, where they will be safer and treated better than they are now in the United States. Peaches, played by Jordan Cooper, bedecked in pink, is the flight attendant, encouraging passengers and warning them of dire consequences if they don't follow the rules. I couldn't help but think of Day of Absence, when all the African Americans disappeared, and how it crippled the whites who were incapable of doing anything on their own. This was hard-hitting as well as hilarious. The entire cast jumped in and out of characters and scenes with great agility and aplomb, all trying to come up with a drastic way to stem the tide of being emotionally and physically hurt by the circumstances going on. The way Jordan Cooper took those reality shows of rich bitches and stood it on its head in one scene with quite the punchline that had you gasping in the middle of rolling in the aisles, and the cast was up to all these shifting emotions thanks to expert direction. This was truly brilliant how Mr. Cooper took so many different situations and was able to get humor out of horror. This gets a major happy face, and I'm sorry it's closing on the 18th, because I just love this play. I just think it's brilliant. The York Theater Company and their temporary place at St. James Church is doing Hoagy Carmichael's Stardust Road, which was conceived by Susan H. Schulman, Michael Lichtfield, and Lawrence Uhrman. It was developed with Hoagy Bix Carmichael, and the music is by Hoagy Carmichael. And it was directed by Susan H. Schulman, choreographed by Michael Lichtfield, and music supervision and arrangement by Lawrence Uhrman. This was just incredible. It was like so many of Hoagy Carmichael's songs that you can't believe in 9 minutes they can do like 90 songs. And there's songs I knew, songs I didn't know. And there was amazing tap dancing done by Sarah Esty and Corey Ligner, which will leave you absolutely like gobsmacked. And the rest of the cast, Marcus Blair, Sarah, Dion Simmons Greer, Danielle Herbert, Kayla Jennerson, and Mike Schwitter, had the most gorgeous voices. And they changed costumes, and they kind of, it was more than a jukebox musical, because I mean, they tried to fashion a story with them in different cafes and restaurants and roadhouses and speakeasies and whatever, and went through different ages, and they had war and World War II and people dying and ghost singing. And it was some of the staging was strange, because the music, like Two Sleepy People, it was them closing up the restaurant, so it didn't make sense. And a lot of times they were very peppy and happy, and the songs were kind of sad. But you know what? I didn't care about any of that stuff. Anything that came in my mind that made me criticize this, I just wiped it away, because you know what? I was enjoying myself too much. These singers and these dancers are just so phenomenal. And I love Hoagy Carmichael music so much. And the orchestrations were just terrific. And that band was amazing. So, just in this case, if something bothers you, just forget about it, because this is enjoyable. This is great. And it's wonderful. And I don't know these people that were singing, and they were amazing. So they should go to Broadway soon. I just think this is just, I love York Theater. York Theater puts together amazing musical talent and shows, and long may they live. And they're looking for a permanent home. So if anyone knows a place where they could go and be permanent, that would be great. So I'm giving this a happy face minus. And Susan Schulman is an amazing director. Sasha Clarke went to the paper mill to see Rodgers and Hammerstein's Sound of Music, which has a book by Howard Lindsay and Russell Krauss. The paper mill Playhouse has a long tradition of producing large-scale musicals in grand form. With a full orchestra to support them, the story of the Von Trapp family played out in grand fashion on opening night. As we all know, the story unfolds in Austria in 1938, where the widowed captain lives with his large family. A postulant, Maria, from the local abbey is sent to be governess to the children, and she makes changes that she feels will help the children, but go against the strict rules that the captain has put in place. While the captain is away, Maria introduces introduces the children to music, which she loves, and brings music back into the household. The magnificent set helps place the scenes in the backdrop of the hills, which is the Alps. The period costumes are beautifully rendered. The full cast is ethnically diverse. With all the details to placement of period, it was odd that the hairstyles did not support the production in the same way. There were unfortunately still a lot of sound problems to be ironed out, which made the show a bit uneven. This is an important story to be told, especially in these turbulent times, and it was good to see a vibrant production for the whole family to enjoy during the holidays. And who can resist a good romantic story and a wedding with adorable children? And Gavin Lee as Max Detweiler does a good job as the comic relief. Overall, this story, directed by Mark S. Holby, also the producing artistic director of the Paper Mill, continues the long legacy the Playhouse has created. Happy holidays, Mixed Faith. I just want to remind people that the 92nd Street Y, they call themselves something else now, but it's still the 92nd Street Y to me, does amazing things and has the most incredible people. I mean, I saw Tom Stoppard talking there, and just recently, Ray Fiennes did the 100-year anniversary of T.S. Eliot's The Wasteland, which T.S. Eliot himself read at 92nd Street Y, and did a beautiful job of doing the poetry. And there was this other guy who broke the poetry down and explained it to us, and it was very good. So check out the 92nd Street Y schedule, because there's so many things going on there, and you don't want to miss this important institution. Well, what better way to bring out the old year than going to High Drama on December 31st, our next show. Happy New Year! Well, a lot of shows closed before we could talk about them. So the reviews you can find on the Facebook page. K-pop, Rat Trap, Peter Pansexual, Afghanistan Isn't Funny, Latina, Christmas Special, Ambala Night Visitors, and Lyrics and Lyricists at 92nd Street Y. And there's some upcoming shows that we're going to talk about that will be showing on the Facebook page. Irish Reps, A Child's Christmas in Wales, Mitzi Newhouse's Becky Nurse of Salem with Dee Dee O'Connell, Far Country at the Atlanta, Hoagy Carmichael at the York, and Urban Stages is doing Winter Rhythms right now. So lots going on this December. And this is December 17th. So a Merry Christmas and a Happy Hanukkah and Happy Kwanzaa and whatever holidays there are also coming up that I don't know about. But anyway, this is December. It's festive. Have some eggnog.